Welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East. I am your host, Sean Michael Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. And NFL season is coming, Jeremy. I can feel it. We have a fun episode for you. We're going to be talking about preseason standouts and stars who to look for in these preseason games, and then also breakout candidates for each NFC East team. Jeremy Goode, what is good?
Exciting time, Sean. Let me tell you, It's August now. Everything's fast. I guess they had the Hall of Fame game last week.
Yeah, dude, and it was a good game.
Was it? Yeah, they didn't play. I don't think they played any starters or even true second team. I could be wrong, but point is,
no.
We're going in the right direction. Yeah. So, but it's the Hall of Fame game always solidifies the beginning of the year, and we're here. So I'm excited. Real content for a change.
Real content. Good stuff is happening. Colin Johnson, though, Giants standout receiver who's now in the Bears, had an amazing game. He was one of the stars of that Hall of Fame game. So shout out Colin Johnson. He probably would have been our number one receiver in 2022 if he didn't get hurt before the season, because he was
really great. He was great at Texas, and he was always projected to be early on an elite player. And I don't know, something just didn't hit with him. But great size, was a great player in high school and college, and just shows, it's a tough game to be great at the NFL level.
You got to stay healthy, because I think he definitely would have been – especially with that Giants receiving room, that was a joke that year.
Room to be phased out.
When Isaiah Hodgins becomes one of your number one receivers in a playoff year where you actually get a playoff win, and he was one of the stars, I think Colin Johnson could have made some noise. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about people that you aren't expecting, the players that you aren't expecting, maybe UDFAs that are rising up the ranks, playing with the first teams in preseason. I think we'll start off – I don't know. You want to start off with your Philadelphia Eagles?
Sure.
All right, fill me in, because honestly, I know that you got the Eagles, so I got the Giants on lock. I'm pretty much been being drip fed Giants content every day. Every time I take a poop break at a New York Giants, what's going on? What's new?
You can waste a lot of time doing that stuff, and it's been interesting because in this city in Philadelphia, New York's probably similar. They want to talk football 24/7 in May, and it's May's a down period. I can't listen to any Eagles talk then. It's just too much time. But you get closer to end of June, early July. That's where it really starts. And the Eagles have a lot of news lately, honestly, with just a lot of stuff going on. Practices have been great. It sounds like the coordinators have been very good in Kellen Moore with the offense, how he's mixed up some things, added motion, really installed a real modern day NFL offense, which the Eagles were missing last year. Completely. The Eagles offense by the end of the year was just dreadful. And Vic Fangio, it sounds like, is one of the biggest differences to the team this year, player-wise or coach-wise. He's just been an established defensive coordinator for his entire NFL career, was a head coach, did not work well, but I think that he's realized that let me take care of the defense and focus just as a coordinator. It sounds like it's made a difference. I still think there are some concerns with the Eagles' defense, but you just need to make some plays in the NFL. It has to be a decent enough defense overall, but if this offense is as good as it sounds and as it's looked in training camp, with all these guys, with Goddard, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, and of course Jalen Hurts too, the defense should be up to the task to do enough at least. So it's looked good. It sounds like they're the one thing that I think I'm concerned with the Eagles going to the year, depth-wise, they just don't have much of it. Now, because of that, you have a really strong, the offense could be historic. I think the defense, what you put into it, should be decent enough for the first team and a little bit into second teams here and there. But you don't have much behind on depth-wise throughout most of the roster. So we'll see with that. But I think practices have gone better. They're practicing a little longer, focusing a little more on detail, which I think they lost a little bit of last year, and really making sure that last year doesn't happen again. Are they over-exaggerating some things? Maybe, but, they had to change some things up. So that's what I think, brief uh, synopsis or what have you with the Eagles so far this training camp?
So my biggest questions: how's it looking depth wise corner? Like, is it still James Bradbury, Darius Slay?
So it's a good question. It's the deepest position they have on the team, in my opinion, in a way. They legitimately have 10 guys who I think could make the roster at cornerback. Problem, some of those guys are legit just special teamers, which you need, which is great. But um, it's not like they'll probably keep 6 overall, but there's going to be a few of them who you can't put like on the outside. They
You know,
can't play there.
significant guys.
So they have a lot. They have Slay's going to start. It looks like don't quote me on this, but right now it looks like Isaiah Rogers will start across from him. It sounds like
Really? Not
yeah. Well,
Quinion?
apparently Quinion will be coming out of the slot most likely early on. Again, don't quote me, but that's what it seems like as of August 5th.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a good. I don't. I want Quinion to start in the Eagles, and I will mention this. I love the team. They have done a very poor job of getting guys in early on in their career. Year one, they've essentially redshirted so many early draft picks. When I say early draft picks, I mean like rounds 1 through 3. It is really annoying because then it's sort of just like everything is pushed back. I get that some guys can might not be ready week 1, but like Jacoby Dean didn't play his first year essentially. And I think that didn't help. He only played like in the Tennessee game late in the season. I think they just need snaps. I think we've seen it before too with other players where there's just not like Nolan
And
Smith
Jordan
in play.
Davis.
Jordan Davis was limited. Could have played more. Even Jalen Carter too. He sort of hit a wall at the end of the year, but like I thought he could have had more reps throughout. And I just mentioned it. Oh no, who was the other? Uh,
Nolan
Yikes!
Smith?
Yeah, Nolan Smith. He
Yeah.
didn't play much at all, and I thought that was silly. I think you need to get them in, even if they're not completely ready. I'll take guys getting burned here and there, but like they got to get reps. So Quinion in the slot, I think is good to start off. We have Cooper DeJean with a hamstring injury, which stinks because he's just going to be a little behind the 8 ball to start off the year. But yeah. So with the corners, you got those 3. I guess Cooper DeJean's a corner, so he's 4. You brought back
What about
Avante Mack.
Bradbury? Bradbury
Bradbury somewhere in the mix there. Yeah, I don't know what you do with
playing
him.
more second team.
I think so. They wanted to play him at safety, but that's not an easy switch, and you also have to be able
Yeah.
to run a lot to play safety. So in downfield, which could be just a disaster if you put him out there. Um,
Interesting.
Cooper DeJean, Avante Maddox is back. I don't think he's guaranteed a position. I definitely don't think he is, especially with his injury history. Tyler Hall, they brought over from Vegas, who's a slot corner. I really liked. He had a good year last year. We'll see if that can happen again. And then you have the Josh Jobs, you have Eli Ricks, and other guys too, who are fighting for a spot. Who again, nice and young, but they've really like how we really focus on like developing corners, and it's nice, but sometimes you got to focus on other positions too. So cornerback, they're deep. It depends on what you get out of the talent overall. They're deep in youth, but that might not always be a great thing at the bottom line. So we'll see.
Well, hey, that's good. I hopefully you cut some of those really promising ones because the Giants are looking like we need a CB2 on the other side. But
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to cut anything close to a CB2, but I think there'll be out there. There'll be some guys who don't make the team who should, as a cornerback 4 or 5 for other teams would be awesome, and cheap.
yeah, sorry about that. I think I just I'm listening. I'm here. Nick Gates, man, Giant superstar
Yes.
Nick Gates was also signed. I think next year he'll be on the Cowboys if that's the trajectory. Giants, Commanders for a year, which honestly I feel like the Commanders could still use him. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
surprised that they didn't retain him. I know, they have Sam Cosmi at guard, which he can play guard. Tyler Biadasz at center, which Gates was also good at center. Where do you know like where they're kind of looking at him, or just like kind of like an interior depth piece? I'm assuming. I don't think he's
That would,
cracking a starting lineman, but yeah.
that would be ideal. I think that they're still trying to find the quote unquote other guard position, and with Tyler Steen being hurt, it sort of put them at a disadvantage because now they want to put Mekhi Becton in, who I like, who I think can do it. But then you're light on tackle for your swing guy for the backup. So I think that Nick Gates is actually getting reps to be the starter. I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to win, but he's going to
I
have
don't know.
he'll at least have an equal chance to everybody because the Eagles haven't been able to get someone healthy and be reliable enough to replace Cam Jurgens' position on the offensive line from last year. So he's gonna have a chance for sure. And if he does sign with Dallas next year, he's absolutely the official player of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean Nick Gates, he was a favorite, man. He had that bad leg injury and he came back, like really impressive guy, tough as balls, as tough as balls can
Yeah, I
be.
thought he was okay too last year. I'm not saying I watched a lot of Nick Gates highlights, but I thought that what I heard
Yeah,
that he was okay-ish with Washington, but who knows?
yeah. Any other players you want to talk about or news for the Eagles before we get out to our breakout candidates for the offense and defense for the Eagles? What are you thinking?
No, it just sounds like Jalen's done a good job. I mean, I'll give him his props. I think it sounds like he's done a better job at um, accuracy, completing passes, throwing more instead of just taking off and abandoning the pocket, abandoning the play call, which is good. That's how he's going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. It's a throwing league. You have to throw the football. You have to throw the football downfield. And now, obviously, you have to be smart with it, too. You can't just be throwing it up willy-nilly. But today's NFL, you got to be able to throw the ball downfield and get big chunks of yards, which I don't know if this is fair enough, but the year that the Giants, made the playoffs a few years ago, I think that was probably the one thing that held them back from being a serious threat in the playoffs. It's just that the offense just couldn't get big plays, big chunks of plays with the quarterback. And it's sort of the same thing with the Eagles. I mean, you need Hurts to get the ball out, go downfield, and make big plays. He has the ability to. We've seen it. And last year, especially the second half, was alarmingly disappointing from what we've seen before Super Bowl, stuff like that. So he's been great, and that's nice. Also, went to the open practice, saw, the first team
I
offense
saw
looks
that.
great. Yes, first team offense looks great. Saquon, I'm sorry to say, looks silly.
I don't even know where my action figure is, dude. It's in the trash. Sick
Unbelievable.
Saquon, dude.
Um,
What about is Will Shipley or Kenneth Gainwell? Who's seeing more like the RB2 time?
Probably Gainwell for now because of the experience, but both he looked good catching a few in the backfield too. But we've seen Gainwell play poorly to be nice. So if Shipley stays with it, assuming Gainwell doesn't, become a star, which I don't say, he'll have opportunities to get reps. Both of them look good as the backups. But Shipley definitely has a chance to, we've seen Gainwell just falter throughout seasons and be irrelevant and non-existent. So he'll have a chance, I think, honestly.
Or putting Kenneth Gainwell in at like a 3rd and 2 as like the power back, which makes zero sense. I feel like that happened a bit.
We've seen it before. And sometimes it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's miserable. And the boot birds come out. But yeah, I mean, if you're Will Shipley, don't put the ball on the ground, catch out of the backfield, use your speed, run through the tackles a little bit, good vision, take a hit, yak. We'll see. We'll see. I think he has some good chances this year, even as a rookie.
Yeah. All right. So it's your team. So I'll let you go. Let's start offensive. Who is your offensive breakout player of the year?
Oh, it's tough because we don't have much to go with.
Yeah, everybody's pretty much broken out for you guys.
Yeah, which is a good thing and bad thing. It shows how deep you are at offense, which is great, and how solidified. I don't know if he's gonna make. I don't even know if he's gonna make the team. I'll go with. I'm thinking of three guys. First guy, Will Shipley. Second guy, Anaya Smith, receiver out of A&M, who is very small. I think he's 5'9". He's not that fast either. He has good speed, but not like if you're 5'9", you have to be a blazer. And
Mhm.
Johnny Wilson will be the third guy.
That's who I was going to pick. So, hey, how is Johnny Wilson looking? Because he is an
He,
exciting player, and I feel like he could definitely fit. Like, he has a very niche role as, like, a wide
yeah,
receiver three.
yeah, the tough thing is we've seen this before with the Eagles, how it looks like there are certain guys who look like they'll fill in roles nicely, aka wide receiver three. Also
Mm-hmm.
got big goal line threats. And it turns out they're just not good players. The good thing about Johnny Wilson is that he's an NFL player. He can receive. Is he a tight end? Is he a receiver? Not sure. But like I remember there was this one guy like several years ago the Eagles kept on flirting with. It was either um, I think he went to Rutgers. He was 6'8", but he couldn't catch, so it was silly. He couldn't run routes. There was no speed. Yeah, Wilson. I've heard. I mean, so like the Eagles have tried this with big receivers before. It hasn't worked. He has more of a chance. He's been getting a lot of reps at practice with like Will Greer. Not great, but
Yeah.
he's getting the reps, and I'm surprised that he's this far along from what it sounds like. It helps that Devontae Parker retired a week after he signed with us. It
It seems
also
to happen.
helps that Paris Campbell right now is slotted as your wide receiver three, which I think is crazy. I'll take his wide receiver four. I get it. I think that that's the one thing that I wish the Eagles would focus more on, a decent wide receiver three. And if Wilson with his size, at least 20 to the goal line can be a threat. I don't know if 20 to
Yeah.
20 just because its ability to run and I don't know. But yeah, he's been surprisingly. So I think I won't take him from you because you'll take Wilson, I guess. I'll go Anais Smith for special teams like punt returning, kick returning, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe some gadget plays / some burner type plays down the field like you might see with a Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah. I mean, also, is he in the receiving game right or for the returning game? Because I know that was like one of the big things when he was drafted that he could be a good returner.
Anais
Do you
Smith.
think yeah. Do you think we'll see
He's
some Anaya Smith?
I think so. It's weird because Covey has had those jobs, and Britt Covey was top 3 last year in special teams and returning. But it's but the Eagles also have like 5 guys are trying out who legit could be special team returners. So and Anaya Smith is one of them. So he'll get his chance. Again, 5'9" is small, but we'll see. Ball in space, especially with the strong special teams unit in terms of blocking for the Eagles. He's going to have a chance. He has been getting reps in special teams this training camp.
Yeah, I mean, I like Johnny Wilson. I don't know
Yeah,
like what he's looking like trajectory wise, but the whole thing, and I know Nick Sirianni said that he's going to use him as a wide receiver, not a tight end. But you hear me? Something happened. I keep
yeah, Mike's. It's a little off.
off. Can you
Oh,
hear
now
me?
it's a little better. Yes.
It keeps hitting the Siri and it keeps going to Siri for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I know Nick Sirianni said he was going to play wide receiver after he was drafted because the whole thing
Yeah.
about Johnny Wilson, 6'6", and he's huge. Like he is a fluid route runner and a fluid runner. That was like a big mark on him coming out with people who wanted to transition him to tight end. So I think
Yeah.
it's interesting, and also in the red zone for sure. Like I mean, a big body like
Right.
that, and he has good hands. I mean, I think he could have went higher than the 6th round, but I think getting him in the 6th is a steal for you guys. So
Yeah, route running's a little different in the NFL to college. It's guys are just defenders, corners, safeties, even some linebackers are just better at picking apart receivers. It's still hard to cover, but so we'll see with the next level up with Wilson. He does fit. If he could be a tight end, it would be nice because Eagles have nothing after Goddard. So,
yeah,
or
if he
maybe
puts
just
on a little weight, you know.
yeah, or just have him do both if you can a little bit. Teach him how to block, but yeah, he's been. I think I've always thought he was going to make the team, but he certainly has done a good job of taking advantage of his opportunity because I think he's ahead of schedule for what it sounds like.
Yeah. The other one I was going to say is probably Cam Jurgens, maybe breaking out, being
Yeah,
moved over,
yeah,
center, right? Correct? Center?
true. I think it's a good pick. I think that it's an in the box kind of pick. I think he'll be fine at
Yeah.
center. Will he be as good as Jason Kelsey early on? No, but he'll do the job enough. I think he'll be fine there.
All right. Defensively, I feel like there's like two prime candidates for this, but
Yeah.
I would like to see where you go first.
Oh, it's tough. I think
Just say one. Don't steal my.
I'll
I
try
got
not to
two here.
steal yours. There are a few guys I'm thinking of. Both are not rookies, and one guy I think I took last year,
All right.
N'Kobe
I think I know
Dean,
where you're going. Then. Okay.
is one. Milton Williams is two. I will
Okay.
pick ultimately Milton Williams. I think he's going into his last year of his contract. He is a defensive tackle slash they put him as defensive end because he has
Okay.
decent enough speed. He is always supposed to be a breakout guy the last few years. It hasn't really happened, but he still has had statistically it hasn't been there, but he's been in the right position a lot of times that has led to other players making the play. And he's also I'd have to check his pressure, his actual numbers.
Hmm.
He's like I said earlier, he's in the right spot for a pressure, which is basically what you ask for essentially. Sacks are tough, but being able to put guys in pressure situations, you take all the time. Um,
Yeah.
Good against the run. He can get into the backfield. I think this is the year for Milton Williams. And
Hey.
it,
I mean,
and a year two, you lose Fletcher Cox.
mhm.
Jalen Carter is a freak, second year.
Yep.
Jordan Davis, third year, hasn't solidified much. I think
Mhm.
there's room for Milton Williams, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that was a sleeper pick, but I feel like Milton Williams always does get a lot of love, especially because like
Yeah.
he kind of he's behind Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with this rotation at edge, that'll help. I mean, I was going to say Jordan Davis, who I think actually he made a tremendous leap from his rookie season into year two, but I
Yeah.
feel like with Fletcher Cox also leaving, like Jordan Davis is going to eat this year. I mean, just like 2.5 sacks last year. I'm looking 2 tackles for a loss. I feel like there's a lot of room to grow there. Plus, he's
Yeah,
just a
no
big old
doubt.
body run stuffer. But I feel like he also built a lot of confidence because remember you were saying last year that he had like imposter syndrome. He was dealing with his mentals. I feel
Yeah.
like after last year he did a lot better. I mean, I feel like him or Nolan Smith, obviously, I was
It's
my
another good
one.
one. Yep.
Going into year two, and he'll probably actually get playing time this year. So,
Yeah.
especially
Well,
because
I think,
Bryce Huff was only rotational before with the
yeah,
Jets. So, if they're
40%.
going to do that again, Nolan Smith will have more playing time in that roster. So,
Well, I think it's a good point, and I think that we've each listed two players on defense who legit have a chance to be breakout. I think it just shows we probably could name more too. It just
oh yeah,
shows that there's so many jobs for the Eagles on defense for the taking. Like if you want
hmm
to be a stud, there's opportunity. So
yeah,
good thing, but let's have someone step up. I love it with Davis too. I think I just also think that he might be a guy who just doesn't get to the backfield as a career. But I've also accepted the fact that if he could be a top 1, 2 defensive tackle against the run, sign me up. I'm okay with that, even if it doesn't give you
yeah,
anything else. Maybe they give you some pressures here or there, but yeah, signs have been good so far this year in training camp, but we also thought the same last year. So got to give him time to see what changes, but it's a good pick. Yeah,
yeah. All right, we ready to move on to these New York Football Giants?
yeah, we could do them.
I know how excited you are,
Let
man.
me get my. I just love the Giants so much. Let me get my notes on them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But of course,
yeah.
uh, you go first on your team.
Yeah. Okay. So New York Football Giants, man. Uh, Preseason. Last year we were as hype as we probably could be, coming off to
Yeah.
one playoff win. Everybody looked like a star. Trey Hawkins is going to be like a fifth round steal. Going to be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Darren Waller's going to take the lead by storm, have a record tight end year, and yeah, all that kind of fell apart, and the O line fell apart, and everything was garbage. So take everything with somewhat of a grain of salt. But obviously, if you're looking into this, you're at least seeing who maybe will be starting, who looks like they've developed so far, like this year as opposed to last year. So let's just get into it right now. Some of the big things. Evan Neal looks like he is going to be competing for a swing tackle backup offensive line spot as of right now. The
Yep.
whole like spring camp, they're saying Jermaine Illuminor, who is a tackle last year with the Raiders, he's going to play left guard for us. John Runyon, who said he prefers to play left guard, he's going to play right guard for us. And Evan Neal's going to have that right tackle spot until he loses it. Well, he came in injured. I guess there was a misdiagnosed injury, so he's been sidelined. And then immediately they just moved Jermaine Illuminor to right tackle, which is, I think, what Giants fans wanted all along. It seems like that's going to be Jermaine Illuminor's spot to lose. Now, we signed Greg Van Roten, who is also a right guard for the Raiders last year. He's 34 years old, but he's somebody that the Giants really, really like. He had his career year last year. To get him for like $3 million for 1 year. Some people are like, "Oh, well, how does that develop our line?" Who cares? We need
Bodies.
players who can actually play.
Yep.
So that way, Daniel Jones can get the ball out, and we can see what these receivers have to do. We can see what these running backs have to do. Like when it comes to yeah.
Not to interrupt, but like your point is so like the line for the Giants the last few years, even when they were good, it's you don't need to develop guys young, like just get bodies who are like experienced and like that's serviceable. That's something you could like work off of for a year instead of like what they like. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. Great.
No,
Point.
it's 100% because everybody keeps. I've seen so many Giants fans like, "Why aren't we signing Justin Simmons yet?" Listen, I actually love our safeties, and I can get into it. Yeah, and Justin Simmons, yeah, I know he's a superstar. We don't need we need O linemen. Like I'll sign like a guy who's 34 because even if we have him for one season, because we need him. He's integral towards Daniel Jones. If we're going to see if he can actually maybe outlive another year on the Giants, or see give time so we can get the ball to Malik Neighbors and see how great he is. We can actually get the ball downfield, which is a big emphasis this year. But Justin Simmons, like we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. And we're probably not going to the Super Bowl next year. I don't know. I'm an optimistic Giants fan. But we don't need Justin Simmons. We have Jason Pinnock is young and is looking really good. Dane Belton has been really great. And then our second-round pick, Tyler Nubin, he's kind of been sidelined with a calf, but when he's been out there, he looks great. And even Isaiah Simmons is kind of like a money backer type, like safety linebacker hybrid, also playing in the slot.
Yep.
So I think we're good on the safety. Like let's save that money for a CB2, but let's focus on the O line because John Michael Schmitz has been hurt the past few days. I think he's going to be okay. It sounds like it's like a day-to-day thing. It's a shoulder thing. But in that time, we have Greg Van Roten playing center, which is interesting, especially for a 34-year-old to like change position. I don't love that, but it seems like when all said is done, John Michael Schmitz is healthy. Obviously, he'll come back to center, a second-round pick from last year, who had a lot of promise, kind of disappointed his rookie year, but I think he'll do well having John Runyon, who's a great pass blocker, Greg Van Roten, who was an amazing pass blocker as well last year, at least adequate average around him. So I'm actually really happy with this line. And I'm happy that Evan Neal is just like, if he really wants to take this right tackle spot, he's not going to be given it anymore. Like it's and Jermaine Illuminor, from what we've seen, has been really good. And he looked great last year. He's been good. He's a Carmen Bursillo guy, our O-line coach that we got from the Raiders. But Brian Burns, talking from the O-line to the D-line, Brian Burns, I guess, has been really impressing. Even getting a lot of good reps on Andrew Thomas, which like we have not seen an edge rusher really do in the past, since Andrew Thomas has become the Andrew Thomas that we know. So that's
Mm-hmm.
good to see. Little iron sharpening iron there. Kayvon's looking better as well, but I think Brian Burns obviously has looked above him. The defensive line depth next to Dexter Lawrence, like defensive tackle, that's been a little shaky. Everybody was really hype on Jordan Phillips. As of the past week, he's been actually like playing with the third team, so it looks like he might not even be getting first team reps. And maybe that's because they want to see some of these other guys. But obviously, we have Nacho Nunez, who's like more of a
Mm-hmm.
run stopper. Not very excited about him. Jordan Riley, who's like more of a DT, who's more of than to be like Dexter Lawrence's backup. He was a 5th-round pick out of Oregon for us last year. And then Ryder Anderson, who was at UDFA like 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4
Yeah,
years
he's
ago.
interesting.
And he got like a spotlight from Shane Bowen on Hard Knocks too, where he's like, "Oh, maybe Ryder Anderson could be our second DT." They're like, "You want to pick up Christian Wilkins?" I don't know. That Ryder Anderson, who's been on the practice squad, I think he might actually be able to be a good DT too. But I mean, he has looked good in camp, and like I do like Ryder Anderson. I do like that he was originally an edge, kind of moved to defensive tackle hybrids. That way, he does
Is he
have
not
that
going to be? Is he
pass
not going
rush.
to be defensive end anymore?
No. He's been more like defensive tackle. He's kind of
He's a tackle
transitioned
now.
like since,
Okay.
yeah, since it honestly like
Interesting.
edge wise. I'm sure that we'll probably move him out too because our depth at defensive end isn't that deep. I mean, it's like Aziz Ajulari is the only really like notable
Yes.
name. And then Elijah Chapman, who's like this was a UDFA like late signing. He went to like spring practices with the rookies and we just signed him. Like he wasn't even a UDFA priority, but he's been even getting first team reps and he's like a tiny, speedy little pass rusher. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know if he'll make the roster, but it's a fun thing to look at,
Yep.
And then obviously Malik Neighbors. I'm surprised it took me this long to get to Malik Neighbors, but Malik Neighbors looks like a star. Is that because our cornerbacks can't cover? Maybe. Deontay Banks has actually had really good coverage on him. Like, not gonna lie, but even with that good coverage, Deontay Banks isn't closing in, and like, even with Banks draped over Neighbors, he is making spectacular down the field catches, and that's one of my favorite things to see because obviously all this stuff that's happening in these training camp practices, that's not going to win us games later on, but it does show that we're doing a lot more down the field passing. Brian Dable's been emphasizing it. All the beat reporters that are there at the practices, all the clips, like there's a huge emphasis on pushing the ball downfield. Even to Jalen Hyatt, even Wan'Dale Robinson is getting some deep passes. Theo Johnson is catching seams, down the middle. Like Theo Johnson too. We'll get to him, but Malik Neighbors is looking good, and I'm excited about that. And Theo Johnson too started on PUP, but since he's been back, Theo Johnson looks like he is going to be the tight end one, even like above Daniel Bellinger
Wow.
from day one, which I like to see. I think, and I guess like there's a cool storyline like Brian Dable who coached like Rob Gronkowski when he was over in New England. He keeps like pulling Theo aside, like showing him Gronk clips, being like, "Hey, this could be you." Which I don't know. I don't think he's going to be Gronk, but if he is, like, if there's going to be a tight end that kind of busts out like a late round tight end, like we've seen with like George Kittle, like we've seen with like a Darren Waller, like Theo Johnson has all of the athleticism for it. So as long as he can develop, and I think we are going to utilize him, we've even like used him in like screen games and stuff like that. So I think he will be featured on this offense, like from the get go, which I'm excited about. I know you like Theo, so
I do like him.
I know you're a big Theo fan.
Starting a 4th-round tight end day one is a bit of a concern, but yeah, I like him. Can he block? By the way, I forget. Is he a?
He's a serviceable blocker. It's not like because especially a lot of these athletic tight ends who are like more. He's a serviceable blocker. I mean, but on the other side of that, Chris Manhertz. I know your guy Jack Stoll. I don't know if he's going to be making the team. Chris Manhertz has been doing really well as a blocking tight end. That's what he's been known for his entire career. I think he's definitely making the team. I think that they really like him as a blocker. And they've been doing, jumbo with 3 tight ends with Bellinger in there too. But Bellinger, like to your point, he was the starter as a 5th round tight end in our playoff year, and he played really well that year. So I mean,
Yeah,
Bellinger's going to still have a role, um, but I think Giants fans want to see this too. Like if we're going to have a receiving tight end, I Theo Johnson is like he already looks way better than him, and
he's the
he
receiver. Yep.
that's what he was as advertised. So if he's going to be our starting tight end, we're going to rotate him. Obviously, like Manhurts will be in there for in jumbo packages and whatnot. Um, that's good to see. And then Tyrone Tracy, my boy Tyrone Tracy, is also looking really good. Looks like he is going to have the RB2 behind Devin Singletary.
Really?
Maybe. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Above Eric Gray. Good in the receiving game. But we'll see. Like that, he's somebody who I really want to look for the preseason. Like I'm excited to watch the preseason because we have a lot of battles that with even on the defense too. And Tyrone Tracy is a big one, and then Dante Turbo Miller, that UDFA that we got out of South Carolina that ran like a 4.26. He's been like, and he's even been used like doing like little sling routes and like catching the ball downfield. His speed is showing up. I hope that we use him in the return game as well.
Mm.
Other big notes: Wan'Dale Robinson has the most catches out of any receiver. In I think he has 22 catches. The next is Malik Neighbors with 15. He's been utilized a lot. I think I'm kind of alluding to it, but Wan'Dale is definitely somebody who I think will break out on this offense. But there's a few candidates, and then Jalen Hyatt has been getting a little bit more usage than Darius Slayton. So I think that has to do too with we kind of know what Darius Slayton is.
Yep.
Jalen Hyatt, we want him, 3rd-round pick. Like we have big plans for him, but he's been doing like a lot of like in route 2 stuff. He's not just been burning everybody on the go routes, which is fun. Any questions you got about these New York Giants? Any thoughts you have about the offense before we move to the defense?
Um. Yeah. What? With Singletary. What? So what's who? If something happens to Singletary, what's it? Did they just go to Tracy?
I think so. I think they'll still rotate probably. I feel like they're going to rotate regardless. I mean, that's kind of
Mhm.
what with Brian Dable calling plays now too, and like that's what they did in Buffalo when they did like the Zach Moss, Devin Singletary thing, and even trying to think if that was like no, that was but yeah, the Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, even like there was a Frank Gore rotation too in there. So I think that's going to be the case, but I see Tyrone Tracy. If Singletary were to go down, I feel like it would probably be Tyrone Tracy 75%, with like
Right.
him being spelled. Kind of like what they did with like, I really like Tyrone Tracy. It looks like he's doing really well in the pass game.
He's small. What is he? How tall
No,
is he?
he's, I think he's like 6 foot, 215. If I'm just pulling it.
6?
Like,
That sounds big.
let's see. Nah, 5'11", 209. I gave him an extra
Okay.
inch, an extra 6 pounds, which I
Sure.
feel like people really, really stress. But
Yes.
I mean, but he's not a smaller guy, but Turbo Miller
Right.
is. I feel like 5'11". I feel like that's like, especially when you're 210. That he could be. That's not bell cow size. Like, but that's not the type of runner he really is. Anyways, he's more of like an elusive, you know, that transitioned from wide receiver. So, but yeah, I'm excited. Daniel Jones too. For all the people that think that Drew Lock is going to take his job, Drew Lock looks like he is like well behind Daniel Jones. So everybody who thought that just because they want to change and they saw Drew Lock crush the Eagles last year with the Seahawks, I don't think it's happening. I think if they transfer to Drew Lock, it's because the season is lost and they just don't want Daniel Jones to get hurt and be responsible for his contract. That's what I think. And Tommy DeVito's for the 3rd team. We'll see. Defensively, though, Andrew Phillips, our 3rd-round corner, looks like he has actually solidified the slot job, which is interesting, but also playing well. It's not like they're just giving it to him. It took him
Yeah.
like I think it wasn't even until this week that he really like had like the full-time reps in the slot. Isaiah Simmons is rotating in there. Nick McLeod, who's like kind of like I think he was a UDFA a few years ago, or we picked him up off the team cuts, but he's somebody who I want to get more outside reps because he's shown that he can play outside corner. Because Cordell Flott is getting like all of the CB2 outside
Mhm.
corner reps for the first team, and all accounts are saying that he kind of looks like Garbaggio, so which is kind of what I expected, and I really hope. I think a lot of people. I don't think we're getting like Stephon Gilmore. I think we're going to probably do what we did in 2022 and pick up like a Fabian Moreau. That's like somebody who gets cut off. Maybe the Eagles. We'll see. But you
Yeah,
guys do have a lot of depth. So, and I feel like that's a big NFC East team. Like somebody gets cut in the preseason, and then you sign like a rival. Maybe
would you
for
take back
intel.
Bradbury?
Yes, I would. I don't even care. Like, dude, he did great for you 2 years ago. And that Super Bowl run, aside from costing you the game and holding whoever, Juju Smith Schuster.
Holding.
He said he held. I'm just saying.
I know he's stupid.
Yeah, that was kind of silly. The other Deontay Johnson, who is a UDFA last year out of Toledo, he's actually been rotating and I'd say 50-50 with Micah McFadden as linebacker too, and he's doing a lot better in coverage. So that's something to see. Like there's a chance that Deontay Johnson might be the linebacker two next to Bobby Okereke. So that's just a name. I'm sure like not a lot of people know him. I mean, he was a practice squad player last year, so it's fun to see how he's developed. But I guess he's been playing really well in coverage, making a lot of plays on the ball. And then Dane Belton, like I said, while Tyler Newman has been out, has been a ball hawk like he was known for. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions last year too as a rotational safety. So that's really cool. I really like Dane Belton. He was like a 4th round pick or 5th round pick out of Iowa 2 years ago. So he's had and Shane Bowen likes using 3 safeties. So if we have Pinnock, Newman, Dane Belton, and then rotating maybe like Isaiah Simmons in there too. I'm not saying it's an all-star defense, but like it's coming together, and it's kind of exciting. But yeah, I'm we have to see how. I'm not jumping to any conclusions here, like not like last year where I was on this hype train. Like,
Oh yeah.
I could see an 8-9, 9-8 season. I could also see like I think we'll at least win 6 games, but that's not promising.
Oh,
But like,
great.
yeah, it's
6-11.
last year crushed my hopes. But I'm still optimistic, and I like the way this team has been moving, and I like the direction we're moving with the heavier passes down the field. But breakout candidates, since I feel like I'll let you go quick. I'll let you go first because I feel like I've got like a list as well. So if you want to go offense first, who are you thinking?
Offense first. I'm gonna go John Michael Schmitz. I think
Okay.
he needs to play. Like you said, the offensive line is better around him. Has to stay healthy, of course, but it's I think it's tough being a rookie and being placed as the starting center. I think that's your setting. I don't care who you are. Well, certain people maybe not, but for most part, with him as a what was he like? What round pick was he?
2nd round pick, but people wanted us to pick him in the 1st, so I'm
Yeah,
happy we got him in the 2nd.
I think it's a tall order to start a guy off at center that early, and
Yeah, you guys have the luxury, not us.
apparently, so I think he'll be. I think he'll do better. I think he just needs reps. He got experience last year. Better players around him on the line. So yeah, that's my pick for offense.
You hear that? I think there's an earthquake going on upstairs. These
Really,
guys are stompers. Yeah, stompers up here. Like seriously, dude. I don't even like
tell
1
me
in the
more.
morning. I don't know what's going on.
With your neighbors,
Yeah,
and there's
they're
like
good.
one above you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got the ground floor, which I like.
Yeah,
It's nice. But I do like John Michael
There's a
Schmitz. And
fire.
even what's up?
I said good for if there's a fire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Plus, moving sucks.
Yes, that is still
Got a
true.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff in here. But speaking of moving, the Giants' offensive line last year moved around about like 30 times, and we had like people who shouldn't even be playing next to John Michael Schmitz. So as a rookie,
Yes.
like and you're playing next to like 10 different guys on either side of you and all these different like it's just it was about as bad as it could be for him. So I really
Mhm.
like that pick. I want to say Wandale, but I think I'm going to go Jalen Hyatt actually, just because Jalen Hyatt. I mean, last year it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
It seems like this year, especially with the emphasis on pushing the ball down the field, and with somebody like Malik Neighbors to kind of get that attention away from him. I think last year when Jalen Hyatt was out there and he was going deep, the attention was on him because everybody knew he was the burner. Now with Malik Neighbors, I feel like he's going to get a lot more single coverage, a lot more attention is going to be drifting towards Malik. And on top of that, like I said, like his short game and his in routes and his quick stuff, route running, releases, looks like it's improved dramatically this offseason, which I'm happy. You know, that was like his biggest knock coming out. That's why a lot of people didn't really expect much from him his rookie
Yeah.
year. And like I said, he seems like he's been getting a majority of the snaps, like 50-50, maybe a little bit more than Darius Slayton. So I think Darius Slayton will still have a big role on this team. Like he's been our leading receiver the past like 4 out of 5 years or whatever.
Right.
But I think Jalen Hyatt is kind of primed for a breakout. And
Yeah.
that breakout might be like 600, 700 yards.
Right.
But if we have somebody like Malik having 1,000 yards, we haven't had, our leading receiver for the past 3 years have been like 700, 800 yards. So if we could have a wide receiver too, and I could even see Wandale having like 700, 800 this year, just because of like how much we've been scheming him and the short stuff. I mean, he had like 60 receptions last year and only like 585 yards, for
Mhm.
Wandale. And we didn't even start using him till later on. I think this year Wandale is going to be. I could see Wandale being wide receiver two. I could see Slayton being wide receiver two. I could see Hyatt being wide receiver two.
Mhm.
I feel like it's going to be Malik Neighbors is obviously going to be the star, but I like this depth around it. We don't really have like a standard. We don't have a Devonta Smith. We don't have a T Higgins, but I think the depth that we do have, I'm happy with, and I'm excited for.
Yeah, depth. We saw it a few years ago when you guys made the playoffs that that's what you went off of, and it works to some degree. Yeah. Um,
Richie James, man, Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, like those
yeah,
guys. They
there's
good
something
transfers.
about second year players where it's easy to pick for them to be breakouts. Like their rookie year,
Yeah,
they need to get their feet wet. They're not going. There's probably not even much playing time allotted to them, or for whatever reason, like they just don't get out there as much. Obviously, um, yeah, that year two jump seems like a good pick to bet on some of these guys.
yeah. It's always I feel like the easy one, but defense. Who are you going with for the New York Football Giants?
I have Dane Belton. Um, Xavier McKinney is not in New York anymore. This is an opportunity pick. I know that they also have Tyler Newman that is looking to get time and should get time early on and then for years to come. But this is Melon's opportunity to start next to, I guess, Jason Pinnock.
Yeah,
And I think that it's a great opportunity for him. He doesn't have to be the rotational piece behind Pinnock and McKinney. And next up on the depth chart, he has good experience already for what it's worth. I think he just steps into the role and becomes a impact player on the defense.
yeah. I think in his ball hawking ability is really what will really make him be a breakout player. Because if he ends up with getting like 4 or 5 picks, which I think he's capable of doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, like that's gonna put your name on the market. Those interceptions
Yeah.
are the big holiday plays. And
Mm-hmm.
they're takeaways, man. I mean, that's how you win the game is getting the
Yep.
ball back. So I like that, and I think he was definitely on the radar for me as well. I think I'm gonna actually go with. That was a really good one, man.
Thank you.
I feel like I have to get. Yeah, I want to say Deontay Banks.
I was thinking about Banks too.
I mean, in a year two player, obviously our first round pick. I'm a little worried. I'm going to ultimately go with Banks, and I think that he is going to be at least like a above average cornerback. But asking him to
I
be a
think
cornerback one, year
I was
two,
I think it sucks that he's being thrown. He was thrown in the fire last year for what it was worth, and this year as the solidified cornerback one in a brutal division, especially for receivers and just the league itself too, who will have to go
Yeah.
up against year two as a cornerback
Yeah,
one.
Justin Jefferson week 1.
That just sucks for him. So like, I could see like him getting better, but it's a tall town. It's a tough situation he's in. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Deontay Banks, like I said, like he's doing well against Malik Neighbors, and Malik Neighbors is a cut above. I don't care if he's a rookie. Like there's a reason why he was picked 6th overall.
Yes.
He's going to push, and like Deontay Banks looks good. He's iron sharpening iron. It's it's. I think Deontay Banks might struggle a bit, but like if you're covering wide receiver ones, like you're going to lose reps. It doesn't
Oh yeah.
like being a shutdown corner, especially Justin Jefferson week 1. Like if he can hold Justin Jefferson for under 100 yards, even if Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy, Justin Jefferson might be one of the best players in the league. Like
Not even just that. If
that's
you
something
keep
that yeah.
the standard that the Eagles have had, if you keep especially him, if you keep Justin Jefferson out of the end zone, it's a win of its own.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's something that Deontay Banks was actually good at, was keeping people out of the end zone. When it came to like getting to the red zone, he actually didn't allow as many touchdowns last year. I remember, I think it was like 2 or 3. But I think that is enough on the New York Football Giants, as much as I could talk about them all day. All right, moving on to the Washington Commanders. It sounds like Jaden Daniels, looking like the rookie of the year, looking like a superstar quarterback, amazing accuracy, great rapport with Terry McLaurin, turning Zach Ertz back into prime Eagle Zach Ertz, making Ben Sinnott, the other rookie tight end, look good. What are you thinking here?
um okay. This might not be a sexy pick. It might be a little too late to the game. I know we've probably mentioned him last year too in this position. I'm gonna go Jahan Dotson. Why?
Breakout? Yeah.
Because yes, because he now has a real quarterback in
Mm-hmm.
in Daniels. He did a great job his rookie year. You could do a lot with him. He's fast. He has good hands. You could put him around the line of scrimmage. He could be outside. He could be in the slot. He's very diverse there, and we've seen him be successful. I think last year probably stunk that even though Sam Howell could throw the ball downfield, and he just seemed like he was the odd man out too between the other pass catchers in Washington. And as good as Sam Howell was in some regard with uh, yardage, completions, he was also just very bad in other positions as well as the quarterback, as we saw because he was benched.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I also didn't think he was just that good as a whole. But regardless, I think
Yeah.
Jahad Dotson is my
Yes.
breakout for receiver. And breakout in a way where I don't know numerically, but at least with the league as a real top 20 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I love Jahan Dawson. I drafted him all my fantasy teams last year, and he let me down.
Yes.
You know, and he claimed a spot on that bench. I was like, you know what? He's turning around. Maybe this is the week. Maybe this is the week. Maybe I'll put him in next week. Nope. Jahan Dotson was overall disappointing in year 2, especially because he
Yeah.
has all that separation ability.
Yep.
I do. I mean, I really do like Jahan Dotson as well.
Okay.
But honestly, I think he's probably the best candidate. Because last year I think
Thank
he
you.
was failed in the
Thank you.
opportunity. Yeah, I think you stole it. I know we skipped a little preseason news though, but I do want to cover just what's going on with the Commanders. I guess Brandon Coleman, the 4th-round pick out of TCU, is really impressing at left tackle, which is
Yep.
really cool. I heard Austin Eckler is returning to form, and all the Commanders fans that are like, everybody wrote off Austin Eckler. They're saying he's looking really good. So he should be splitting time with Brian Robinson, and he should be a nice safety net for Jaden Daniels, you know, as a pass catching back. And then I heard Zach Ertz, like that's actually like a big thing. Is I guess Zach Ertz is getting a lot of usage and a lot of play. And I mean, he played well with the Cardinals last year. Like he's not, he's older, but I mean, we've seen tight ends like Jared Cook produce at like 35, 36, like get
Yeah,
800, 900 yard seasons. So I think with Ben Sinnott, he's not going to have total control of that tight end room, but
right.
he should be a serviceable weapon. And then on defense, I heard that Emmanuel Forbes might be not looking as busty, which is nice. Jeremy Chin, I guess, looks really good in this Dan Quinn defense, which
Mhm.
was kind of an exciting sleeper pick that they got signed at a safety, and then Mikey Sanderstill, who was their second round pick, is also looking really good and was looking like a potential first round pick as a slot corner, which is saying
Yeah.
something. So, but yeah, let me get to my offensive rookie pick. I'm gonna go. Or offensive rookie pick, offensive breakout pick.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be cheesing if I said Jaden Daniels? I don't. You know what? It's a little cheesing, but I'm gonna say Jaden Daniels because there's a lot of these players. Like breakout is like you solidified yourself as a good player in the NFL. As much as I don't want it, because as much as I wanted Jaden Daniels myself in the Giants, just like Joe Shane's son, Jaden Daniels I think is going to have a great rookie year. And if Caleb Williams wasn't put in one of the best situations of any rookie quarterback, I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a phenomenal year. Even if this O line is kind of garbo, which I'm not in love with this offensive line. Like they have some good pieces. I'm not totally convinced that a fourth round rookie, even though he's looking great in training camp, is going to be a solid left tackle for you. Sam Cosmi is a great piece. Tyler Biadasz, I think, is a very serviceable, above average center. But I think he's going to impress as a runner because, like we were talking about, he's even though he's a running quarterback, he's not like a scrambling quarterback. Where like if he gets that pressure, he's going to take off, and I think that he is going to put up very impressive rushing numbers, especially just like Kyler Murray, who in his rookie year with Cliff Kingsbury, who Jaden Daniels also has as his OC,
Mm.
impressed in the running game. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be a superstar, and that might be a cheese pick, but honestly, I think that he is going to actually solidify himself and maybe even have a push for rookie of the year if Malik Neighbors doesn't win it. But really, Caleb Williams. Um, Defense player for the Washington Commanders. Who are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Quan Martin. I think that this is
I
someone
like that.
who is young, someone who I guess is really going to control. Has the opportunity to control the secondary for Washington too. Like I said, I guess going into his third year, or is this his second year?
Second year. Second year.
Second year, feet wet last year. Now he's off running. Really talented player out of Illinois, I believe, and
Yep.
I think he has an opportunity to do good stuff in a secondary that needs it and needs a so-called leader. And he looks like he possesses all that from what we've seen from him out of college and what we project out of him as an NFL player. So I think Quan Martin will take that next big breakout step for Washington. Other players too to consider on that team. With Mathis, Bias, Roll Tide, but he also might be traded. But there's Washington. They're just an interesting team, especially after the draft. They have a lot of talent. We'll see if they can do a little bit of everything with each
Yeah.
side of the ball. But yeah, they've got options. But I like Juan Martin. I think he's going to be a breakout for that defense.
Yeah, and I personally I really like and I like Quan Martin. I've seen a couple of good highlights. I think he was actually in like the OTAs where he had like a really nice interception snag.
Yeah,
Um, my guy, Jamin Davis, in a crowded linebacker room, and I remember we were talking earlier, where's Jamin Davis going to go?
we've been down this
Yeah.
road before.
Hey, Bobby Wagner, I think
Yeah.
is still a star. Frankie Louvu, like they paid him like a star linebacker like he is. But I
Yes.
heard in training camp, all the reports are saying that they're moving Jamin Davis around. They're even putting him off the edge, which their edge class isn't looking good. So I think maybe getting usage for him. I like Frankie Louvu was supposed to be the linebacker hybrid, kind of like a Micah Parsons. I think they might be doing the same thing with Jamin Davis. Maybe that's why Dan Quinn wanted to invest heavily in the linebacker room. So he wanted everybody to kind of be a moving chess piece with Bobby Wagner as the commander. So Jamin Davis, let's see if this is the year. But also Dorrance Armstrong is another sleeper pick too, because I think he is probably the best edge rusher, and this is his time to really be a full-time edge rusher. I feel like he was kind of hidden in Dallas. But I mean, if Dan Quinn brought him over, and it sounds like Dan Quinn has been utilizing him a lot as defensive ed. So yeah, those are my picks. And then let's get
on options. They've got options.
Yeah, they do have options, and as much as I don't want to say it, they're a very exciting team to watch. But let's get on to the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Cowboys, who are all in with Jerry Jones. Some preseason news. Obviously, Dak Prescott hasn't been signed. CeeDee Lamb hasn't been signed. That's kind of looming over them. Micah Parsons still needs to be signed. Who knows how that's all going to break out. But from everything that they're saying, Kevontae Turpin's looking really good in the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
And Jalen Tolbert is looking really good. And then also on the defensive side, DeMarion Overshown has been showing up, who tore his ACL last year in the preseason. I think he was a second or third round pick out of Texas as a linebacker. And that's something that they really need, even though they got Eric Kendricks. So any other news before we get into these breakout players that you want to cover for these Dallas Cowboys?
No, it just sounds like, from what I've seen, some of these open practices have not been well attended by the Dallas fan base. So say what you want about that.
Yeah, maybe Jerry Jones is all in, but the fans aren't all in the stands. And also, not to lie, you kind of fumbled the offseason. But
that's also true. Maybe
they still have a really good roster
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the offseason, winning the offseason doesn't win the Super Bowl, but winning the offseason can definitely help you win the Super Bowl. And even though they won the division last year, you can arguably say that they might have gotten worse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, their draft picks are somewhat questionable. We'll see. I mean, Tyler Guyton, a lot of promise, somewhat developmental. I know the Cowboys fans, whenever I say that, get really angry. I heard he's doing all right in camp, so that's good. But offensive breakout player of the year, I'm going to take this one first. And I think I said it last year, and I feel like we're always let down by this, but Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is going to be my guy. Apparently, Dak Prescott's already high on him, saying whatever rookie or whatever receiver I spend the most time with in the offseason ends up having a huge season. And for him, he said that is Jalen Tolbert. So even though he finished last year with, I think, like 365, 370 yards, it was very unimpressive. I think this is the year Jalen Tolbert, like, they didn't really invest in another wide receiver like we thought they would. Brandon Cooks, I think, still will be wide receiver too. But I could see Jalen Tolbert maybe making a push with Brandon Cooks, especially with Gallup out of there too. What are you thinking?
Yeah, that's a popular pick. I really, with Dallas's offense, I just don't know. I don't think Dowdle's good at all. I'm sorry. I just don't think he's that good of a player. It's definitely not starting.
They're hyping him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be I guess he's starting worthy for Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't love it either.
Yeah, it's who is let me find the guy I was looking at. Maybe, honestly.
While you're looking, though, Rico Dowdle, I think, is going to be the lead back. And although he hasn't shown anything yet, Dallas seemed to love him. He's been sticking around. And I know all the fantasy heads are, like, really taking advantage of getting an RB1 late. And Zeke looks like he's falling off. I just saw a clip of him getting hit in the nuts, which was really funny to see. But yeah, I think this is Rico Dowdle's backfield.
This might be the worst running back room in the history. Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Royce Freeman, Deuce Vaughn. Oh my God.
Yeah. They have some names that might have sounded exciting Well, obviously Zeke Elliott, but like
He's
Royce
just
Freeman, I
great. Give
thought
me
was
Zeke 2016, yes.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go a little outside the box for offense because I just feel like I have to. Um, and this guy might not make the team too, but I'll go Peyton Hendershot, tight end, who apparently jumped um what's his name? Luke Schoonmaker, the backup tight end. So I think he might be able to play behind Ferguson. Um, I just don't know. I would also think that Schoonmaker could develop too as a young player. But that's what I'm going to go with young Peyton Hendershot as big development guy as the tight end two for the Cowboys, who love to use a lot of tight ends too in their offense with Dak. So yes, that's going to be my pick.
All right, I like it. Even Hunter Luepke too. I heard it. Even Jerry Jones is endorsing Hunter Luepke, their fullback, who I guess is doing a little fullback tight end work too. So I don't
Yeah,
think he's going to be the lead rusher, but hey, I guess McCarthy wants to go more fullback now. Defense, I already alluded to my pick, but yeah, DeMarvion Overshone. He's somebody who I was looking at in the draft process for the Giants before we signed Bobby Okereke last year,
yeah,
and he only played, I think, 2 preseason games before he tore his ACL, but he's going to be forced into that starting linebacker spot. From all accounts, it says that he's doing really well in this training camp. Preseason hasn't even started. But I'm going to go DeMarvion Overshone. And I feel like the Cowboys have always had like little breakout linebackers. Obviously, Vander Esch was a first-round pick, and he was great. Jalen Smith was, I think, a second-round pick. But he was great on the Cowboys before he became, like, gosh awful on the New York Football Giants. Yeah, I'm going Overshone. For you, Jeremy?
I was going to say Sam Williams, and then he tore his ACL, I believe,
Yeah, that's a good
about a
pick.
week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be. I'll try to be different. I also agree with Overshot ultimately. Opportunity wise, being able to pick up and be that guy year two. He's not a starter, but I kind of like his ability to be a hybrid safety linebacker. Marquise Bell, we've seen him before.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of youngish. Yeah, I think he's like 24 or something.
Yeah.
Um, he's an okay player. I mean, he's whatever. I've seen him against the Eagles. He can make plays in the open field. I think it'll be interesting what they do with him this year with linebacker and safety. But he's a nice little player who is around the ball, and what that means is that he can make some plays, hopefully, or that's the end goal. If so, but being active, making tackles, being around the ball on a lot of plays, and a decent enough player to begin with, I think that he could solidify himself as a breakout guy.
Yeah, and a third-round player too, or third-year player. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, kind of exciting, and I feel like their safety room, Donovan Wilson and then the other guy, but Marquise Bell, I think, really does have an opportunity to.
Where did Curse? Is Curse still there?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Jaron Curse looks like he is still
Still a
there.
free agent.
No, he's still there. He's still in the
Oh, he
Cowboys.
is?
Yeah. Oh no. Well, it says free agent, and then it also says current team Cowboys. So,
Interesting.
well, that gives more of a case for Marquise Bell because Google doesn't even know where he is. So,
Exactly.
all right. Well, that was a great episode. It's been an honor talking to you, Jeremy.
It's
Hopefully, you guys
such an
stayed
honor.
tuned. It was an honor. I think it was a good time.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys. We got so many great episodes coming up. This has been a full year now. Podcast is going on for a year, so congrats, Jeremy, for all the
Thank you.
haters,
You too.
for all those commenters that said we know nothing about football, that I know nothing about Trey McBride. We're still here, okay? We're still here.
God.
All right?
So,
I know Trey McBride's going to be really good, okay?
I love the comments.
But anyways, thank you guys.
When's that barbecue bash?
Oh, that was last year. Played this last year. Show that I played. We got some shows coming up too with Dober Boy and the Strays. But anyways, guys, we got to run. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment how great we are, how awful our picks are. Tell us how little we know about the Dallas Cowboys. I'd probably agree with you. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.